Today, we're talking about a civilisational shift. I mean, a transition so big it could completely redefine how our societies work. We're looking at the move from a world built on taking things out of the ground to one founded on renewal. Okay, let's get into it.
You know, for basically all of human history, one single idea has shaped, well, everything. Scarcity. It has driven our politics, our economies, our identities, even how we think. It's the deep-seated belief that there's just not enough to go around.
But what happens when that's just not true anymore? Not because of some new ideology, but because the actual infrastructure of our world is changing. What happens when the very foundation of scarcity starts to crumble?
That's exactly the journey we're on in this explainer. We're going to map out this massive transition from our current world, what the source material calls a Day 2 civilization, into a brand new era of regeneration.
So first, we have to really get our heads around the world we're moving from. This is the age of extraction, a civilization built on that one fundamental idea. There is simply not enough.
The source gives it a name, a Day 2 civilization. Its operating system runs on industrialism. Its core logic is extraction. Its main political structure is the nation-state, and its daily activity is this constant, unending struggle for limited resources. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's the world we live in.
Now, what's so fascinating here is how logical all of this is if you start with the assumption of scarcity. Of course, you'd have a take, make, dispose economy. Of course, competition becomes the default setting for everything. Human labor isn't a choice, it's absolutely essential for survival. And it's a no-brainer that whoever controls the resources controls pretty much everything else.
And this has a really deep effect on our psychology. Scarcity isn't just some abstract economic condition. It's a mental one. It literally wires our brains for fear, for competition, for hoarding stuff. It anchors us in this constant survival mode. But here's the thing. That world is starting to break down. We are right now entering what the source calls the Great Transition. It's a turbulent, it's messy, and it's often contradictory because it's an era where the old world and the new world are overlapping.
So the most important thing to get is that this messy feeling isn't a sign that things are failing. It's actually a predictable phase of change. All the friction we're feeling right now, in the 2020s, that's the old scarcity-based system trying and failing to manage the new realities of abundance. Realities that are going to become way more obvious by the 2030s and beyond.
And this slide just perfectly illustrates what that hybrid world looks like. We've got the legacy systems of Day 2 running right alongside the emerging systems of Day 3. You've got fossil fuels and solar, industrial farms and vertical farms. This coexistence, this overlap, is what defines our time.
And listen, this isn't just a theory. These signs are everywhere, and they're measurable. Solar and wind are now officially the cheapest forms of electricity in history. Automation is completely changing what work even means. We're decoupling food production from land and climate, and the digital world has already given us a taste of what true abundance feels like. These aren't just little trends, they are fundamental, foundational shifts.
Okay, so if we're leaving the age of extraction behind, where are we actually going? Well, the destination is a future built on a totally new civilisational operating system, one that is, at its core, regenerative.
The destination has a name, the utility economy. And in this new model, the absolute essentials for life, we're talking energy, food, water, they're no longer treated like market commodities you have to fight for. They become foundational utilities, almost like public roads or bridges, guaranteed to every single person as a baseline for being part of society.
This slide really shows the core flip in the logic. The old system, Day 2, depletes resources because it's trying to manage scarcity. The new one, Day 4, replenishes resources because its job is to coordinate abundance. We go from a straight, linear use and dispose model to a circular use and reuse one. It's a complete 180 on how we think about economics.
And these systems, they don't just exist on their own. They lock together to form what's called an integrated utility mesh. You've got abundant, super cheap energy powering everything else. That energy then makes automated, local food and circular water systems possible. And the whole thing, the whole mesh, is coordinated by universal digital access. Each utility strengthens the others, creating this incredibly stable, resilient foundation for society.
But you know, all this talk of technology and systems, that's really only half the story. The truly profound change is what this shift means for us, for human potential, for our purpose, for our psychology.
This slide right here captures the core psychological upgrade. When you take away the constant, gnawing fear of not having enough, the scarcity mindset, which is all about fear and competition,
can finally give way to an abundance mindset, which operates from a place of possibility and cooperation. It's the massive shift from just trying to survive to actually being able to flourish. And here it is, the crucial takeaway. When survival is no longer the main thing you have to do every day, our whole sense of purpose can evolve. The question, what do you do, can stop meaning, how do you earn enough money to live, and start meaning, how do you contribute to the world?
And that's really the ultimate question this whole transition leaves us with. In a world where all the essentials are guaranteed by these regenerative, automated systems, human potential is finally truly liberated. So let me ask you, if your survival were no longer in question, what would you create? What problems would you want to solve? How would you choose to contribute?